everybody? Welcome to Nerd Out. I am Alexander Gaston, your host, where I get to sit down and talk with some awesome people that I've gotten to know about topics of their choice. Why? Because I want to, and you can't tell me I can't. My guest for today is Steven. Steven, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Alice.
Awesome. What are we going to nerd out about?
Well, since it's Gen Con and I've been doing lots and lots of networking and I've been talking with lots of people, I figured that I would talk about good tips and tricks on how to network. Because I've worked at it from both sides of the equation. Mm-hmm. I've been trying to work my way up in the industry, and then I've been, the publisher providing work to people and trying to find new people to bring them into the industry. And so I think I'm probably a good person to provide that perspective and different ways to approach it.
Absolutely. I mean, networking is key. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've all known and we've all heard that, at least I have, but if you haven't, that it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And it's being able to have those interactions with other people, because you are competing with hundreds and thousands of other people, and that though we know that we have something special, we have to sell that other person.
Yes. Because
they're not going to see it, they're not going to know it, and so it's really developing those social skills. So what's the first thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to networking?
Well, I thought that it would be good to discuss different ways to approach it.
Okay.
And I think that there are two main ways that people tend to approach networking. Okay. And there's an ideal situation and a less than ideal situation. You either have to do it really quickly, mm-hmm. You have to make a really solid impression when you're only going to have a couple of minutes. It's maybe like the crowded convention hall, they're working a booth, they've got people lined behind you,
yeah.
or it's a more relaxed setting, and maybe it's a networking event, mm-hmm. or you've managed to sit close to somebody who seems to be important during a lunch or a dinner or something. And those are more the ideal situation, because you can kind of catch the person in a relaxed, open conversation.
Yeah, it's really helpful to help them, because if they're relaxed and they're happy and they're enjoying the time, then they're going to be more open to start to get to know you.
Yes.
It was one of the things that my sister used to always say when I was going to an interview. When is your interview? Mm-hmm. If it's before lunch, good luck.
Yeah.
If it's after lunch, if it was 1 or 2 o'clock, you're in.
Oh,
and
yeah, totally.
So atmosphere is key.
Yeah, if you're showing up at somebody's booth in the convention hall and it's 11:30 and they look like they haven't slept all night, that is not the time to be trying to pitch them something.
And they've been eyeballing the food trucks outside,
yeah.
just waiting for that person to come in. They're
100%.
Probably late.
So I first off, networking is something that you tend to have more of those fast situations than you do the slow situations, mm-hmm. particularly when you're just getting started out, because the slow situations happen at, invite events, or I already know somebody and they're dragging me along to this thing, or I've been invited to this potential opportunity. So I'm going to start with the slow situation, but only because a lot of that extends itself to the fast approach.
Right.
But it's just kind of trying to speed it all up and
yeah.
trying to compress it. So when I'm doing it, I think that people tend to make it more about trying to shove your business card into somebody's face as quick as possible, trying to talk about yourself and about what you're doing and what you want to do, trying to pitch people stuff, and that's the opposite of what you want to do.
Right.
You want to know about the person that you're talking to. You want to talk about things that they're interested in. Mm-hmm. You want to ask them what they're excited about, and you want to not make it about you as much as possible. Because we're all just geeks. We all just want to we want to talk about the things that we're doing and we're
right.
happy about.
And it's that kind of passion that people tend to remember.
Yeah.
It's one of the main things about the show that I love, is just being able to sit down and talk to people. And it's those interactions sometimes that you're going to remember for longer mm-hmm. than what you talked about.
Absolutely.
And really what it comes down to, when employers are looking for people, they would be more keen to maybe they don't have enough experience, or maybe they don't have that degree, but their personality or their drive or their passion was so so contagious or so positive that they can see the benefit that it would have to have that person in that working atmosphere.
Oh yeah, 100%. Owen Casey Stevens gave me some of the best advice that I've ever gotten in the industry, and it's that there's basically like 3 pillars to every freelancer out there. That you can be really friendly, awesome, passionate to work with. You can deliver quality work that's amazing, or you can deliver work on time. And you can be any 2 of those things, and people will give you work. You want to be all 3 of those things, but almost nobody is.
No.
So if you are introducing yourself and you're passionate and you're friendly and you're nice and you're somebody that somebody wants to hang out with and work with, then you're already in.
You're already in.
As long as then you meet a deadline or deliver something that they can work with, then they're going to keep giving you work in the future.
And usually the third thing, where it's like deliver on time, can blur a little bit as long as there's a constant open communication.
Yes, it's very, very important to just keep people updated on how that works. And me specifically, I'm I am the deliver quality work and be friendly. Like I am not good at delivering work on time.
I can be all 3, but I am going to be burning both candles and everybody else's candles to do that.
Yeah.
I have to edit when? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going with the slow. We're going with we've been invited. People already expect us to be there. Now we just have to kind of stand out in the crowd.
Yes, and it's all about making an impression. So you want to start off by describing yourself as what you do. And even if you want to be an author, if you want to be a writer or a developer, an editor, introduce yourself as that, even if you haven't done a lot of work. Like, assume that that's what you are, take ownership of it, say, this is what I am, this is what I do, and then that's what they connect you with. And then you want to make a really good impression. So, ask them leading questions, like, what are you working on that you can talk about without NDAs? Or,
right.
Get excited about something that they've specifically done. Now that can get a little dicey if you're talking to somebody who's like really cool and you're really excited about what they're doing, and you want to fan out a little bit, and you need to try to avoid that as much as possible. You want to treat them like they're an equal, even if they're not.
That's been me over the course of kind of doing these interviews.
Yeah.
Is because a lot of what the show is just being able to sit down and talk with people. And it's not even from a networking standpoint. Some of it can be a little selfish, being able to sit down and talk to people that admire you, being one of those people, and these positive interactions. To be sitting in the same room with them is overwhelming, and you have to like kind of separate yourself. There are interviews that I've had, and there's interviews that I'm going to have that I'm literally trying to like buckle myself into the seat before I'm coming out and just going, well, we're gonna have a whole another episode that's just me nerding out about you and you as a person. And so and you and I have corresponded before this, a lot of why we're here. And being able to have that person that shares that passion, especially when it comes to a lot of what we do in the D&D community and a lot of the storytelling aspects, and me kind of opening up a little bit more and sending you stuff that I've written, going, all right,
that
let's
is tough.
and it's tough. And those same situations kind of happen when you're networking. You're kind of going in a little bit more exposed than maybe you would want, because if you're too guarded or too closed off or too nervous, you're not going to make those connections that you should be making.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's so scary to just come out and just be like this, almost it feels like a whole different person. And that person that says, I do a lot of writing on my own, I've learned, and sometimes I'm self-taught in a lot of things, and they've been successful, but I don't often get paid for it. But being able to tell that person I'm a writer.
Yeah.
Or doing passion projects like this and telling people I'm a movie producer or I'm a video producer. And so it's very important, from what you're telling me, to be able to kind of be that multicolored bird in the crowd that people are kind of just drawn to.
Yeah, that really sticks out into people's minds. And really important thing to note is that first off, 99% of the people in the industry have day jobs. Like very few people are doing this full time, and those that are doing it full time, like, it's a job, and yes, they're a name, but they're also just completely normal people, like most of the time. And this is their one opportunity to really talk about this stuff,
right.
And with people who understand it and show their interest. Because, all day, every day, I'm with engineers that don't know what any of this stuff is, and
right.
would be completely unimpressed if I tried to explain it to them. So it's really easy to find that kind of common ground and to make friends with a person, which should really be the goal. The goal isn't to give a business card and give a pitch and make that get like an offer for work. It's
right.
to make a connection. It's to make a friend. It's to form a bond that sometimes takes like time.
Right.
And meeting someone on multiple occasions.
And so we've talked about the slow pace and which is relaxed, and it's probably ideal.
Yes, very much so.
But that always doesn't happen, especially since we're talking about networking at a Comic-Con. There are thousands of people. Even the events can be packed, and so now we're talking more of a fast pace and what we would probably call cold calling.
Yes.
Where you're just kind of just doing your best to get in there.
Yes.
So what are your recommendations so we've moved from slow into now we're going into that fast pace.
Okay. Well, first off, you want to try to catch them when they're as fresh as possible.
Right.
Don't be walking around at the end of the day on Sunday, like right before lunch or right when they're getting ready to close and trying to make a connection with somebody, because this is a job for us. Like, we are here and we are working. And yeah, we're also having fun, but we're having fun like during the wee hours when we can actually cram some time in. So, we're tired and we're probably hungry, and you're the 100th person that we've talked to.
Yeah.
So you really want to be there early. You want to try to catch them at a good time. Don't if they're selling something at their table, don't kind of creepily stand off to the side.
Heavy breathing.
It's like, okay, that person's staring at me. No, browse, look at their products, buy things. They're here selling their product, and if you are going to monopolize their time for 5 minutes, at least buy something that they're selling. Make it worthwhile for them, and ideally, know the person that you're going to talk to. Cold calling random people will almost never work because you don't have any connection to them, you don't know anything about what they're doing, and you don't have that time to learn.
Right.
So you can target companies. If you want to work for a specific company, know that company's products, know the people that work for that company. Ideally, try to find someone who knows somebody who works for that company and that can come over and introduce you. That is a really good way of lowering guard, is finding common, and that's why it's networking.
Right.
You find someone who knows that person and can go over and be like, hey, this is my friend.
Right.
They're a writer, and introduce you.
It just takes that DEF CON level down a bit, where it's it's no longer the person being quiet or kind of biding their time at the end of the table. We have a mutual relationship, so let's talk. And if I could also, just from my experience,
yeah, please.
Rehearse what you're going to say.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I was on the bullet points.
Yeah, so because we all get excited.
Yeah.
Especially because most of the time, if we're going to talk to somebody at a con and we're going to talk to them about possible jobs or anything, we already most likely know that person. We already know what kind of work they've done. We've probably nerded out about that person before. And then we also get nervous and we go, okay, well, what are they going to think about us? And we start to overthink. And it's, get that resume together if you are going to give it to them, and put things in the resume that are specific to the job or the company that you want. Even if you're looking for a social media person, go through all of their social media and see what they're not doing. Say, okay, so you're doing this well, but you're ignoring this platform.
That's really smart.
And you could be doing that because you need to for lack of a better phrase, you need to show them your value.
Yes.
And so when you're going up to them, you're introducing yourself, but do not let this go over a minute.
Right.
Because
keep it concise and to the point.
And don't talk about how, I love this company because at this one point, that's so awesome to hear.
Yeah.
And that would be great for an interview if you get it.
Well, that's great. That's great for also those slow situations.
Right.
Be like, hey, I love
if we're
all
sitting
the things
down
you're
at
doing.
like a bar and
we
going,
got lots of time
yes.
to talk, and like, because we all have imposter syndrome, and we really love hearing about how, like, everybody loves hearing about something specific that they did that was great, but you don't have time for that.
You don't. You really don't. And so, so what you can't say, you can put in a resume. Mm-hmm. And make that resume look beautiful. Put everything into that resume and put a picture of yourself on it.
See, so, I would not recommend, like, if you're like a writer, designer, editor, developer, I wouldn't recommend like handing somebody a resume. Certainly not like at a convention when they're at a booth or something. But you can always email
in those situations,
or like have on your business card a link to a resume that they can go look up, or like a portfolio if you're an illustrator, because it's something that they're gonna have, and if. Again, they're probably talking with dozens of people that are all being like, "Hey, I can do something." So you gotta stand out, and so it's business cards are where it is at.
Like, I gotta work on that.
Yeah, if you.
I've been handing them like 3-ring binders. Has that been the wrong way of doing this?
Yeah, I would say that's maybe a little much. Maybe
with a balloon attached to it.
Could you maybe just like a big Manila folder, like one of those like the scroll one.
Yeah, like I usually get the 4-inch binders, and it's just everything, and then on it, the front is like a picture of me.
I think that's solid. Like,
it is,
you know what? I take it back. I'm going to completely change my strategy.
I put a handle on it.
I love it. No, business cards. Business cards, and not just like plain. Just white with your name and
put some pizzazz into it.
Yeah, you want. It's worth it to get good art, and it's worth it to make it be something different or unique, because again, it's all about making an impression. And what's going to happen at the end of the convention is you're going to get this publisher who's going to be going through their pockets and pulling out the 30 business cards they've been handed. And there's going to be, the prettiest one wins. The prettiest one is going to be the one that's like, oh yeah. And also, when you hand it to them, again, they're going to be like, oh wow, that's a really neat business card. And it's all about making those connections. They're going to stick with them. Those talking pieces. Yeah.
For some reason, not to go off topic, but I'm getting some crazy American Psycho vibes where they're talking about
almost made a reference.
Different types of white.
Yeah.
And they're like, buh, and it was some ostentatious.
Start sweating.
Some ostentatious style. It'd be like, it's like, excuse me, I'm going to go and put on my raincoat and I'll be back.
Yeah. I can give like a good example of like the right way to do business cards, because Samantha Darcy is really knocking it out of the park this year on business cards. What she did is, she's an illustrator.
Right.
If you don't know who Samantha Darcy is.
If you don't know, just look at this lanyard.
Oh yes, it's which is another like great advertising
with
thing
all
that she's
the
doing.
Jewels.
She did all the art for these unique lanyards, and she's giving them out before the con.
I had a geologist love it, so they are now the proud owner of a Samantha Darcy lanyard.
And that's free advertising.
It is
for everyone being like, well, that's so cool.
And
where'd you get that
so
from?
easy too. Yeah.
And we're talking about her
right
now. She's not even here.
Sam, we love you. Go buy lanyards.
This is how effective her approaches are, and her business cards specifically. She is an artist, so she put her art on her business cards, but didn't just do like one piece of art. She has like a whole selection of different business cards.
She's got like a Pokemon set of her.
Yeah, like at least a dozen, if not more, and each one of them is some unique, cool piece of art that she's done in the last year. And so it's like, it's like being able to present a resume very quickly, because she can show all of her business cards, give someone an opportunity to pick one, and then they're like, oh wow, so you get to see like the portfolio real quick. So it's a very casual power move.
Well, for people who are like you, because you're a freelance writer and you do editing for
it's a little harder because not a visual medium.
So is there something that you could do that's a little different with a business card that perhaps like on the back you have a deep portion of what you've written, like just like a little thing?
Oh no, see,
or is that too much?
I would say that, you know, if you are a primarily non-visual artist, then your goal needs to be finding an artist who's going to get you something neat looking.
Okay. Maybe it's an illustration of a character that you've created.
Well, yeah, I mean, like something.
Right.
Like it needs to be visually appealing, even if that is not your particular medium. And if that is not your particular medium and you present something that's visually appealing, that also shows that you're versatile and you can understand what looks good. And not only that, but you know, to people in the know, getting handed a really cool business card shows that you know that handing a really cool business card is an important thing. So it's like all this like really subtle showing that you're savvy, showing that you're already operating at a high level. It like presents a really, really good impression.
And if you need ideas, because there are some cool stuff. So I've gone to Comic-Cons. I'm upping the amount just because I'm addicted to you people. Going to the different booths and seeing what they do with their business cards can be some of the best things. But the coolest one I've ever seen was for somebody who did some kind of wood carving and made business cards out of thin carved out wood.
That's so classy.
And it was just like, it was mind blowing.
Yeah.
And just having that, and the same thing, somebody did it with the same thing with like a lightweight aluminum, or somebody is making them out of keychains or 3D printing.
Yeah.
There was a 3D printed card. It was just a little thing, looks like a token, and so we picked it up and we're like, oh, that's so cool. We put it down there, like, that's a business card. Take it. They're free. We've made them. And
those sorts of things.
If you're pulling that out of your pocket and you've got, okay, American Psycho white, that's kind of cool. Whoa, that was 3D printed.
Oh my gosh, there was the 3D printed guy.
Yeah, you're like, instantly like, maybe I should send that person an email. And so I guess what it really comes down to, just to kind of wrap things up, it's all about how you present yourself.
Yes. And
reading the situation. And slow situations are obviously going to be ideal because you get to have those important conversations so they know you better. That's the one thing that was so difficult because I did come from a time that I was getting a job before it was apply online, where you lost that ability to go in, hand in your application to your resume, and meet that person.
Yeah, talk to someone face to face.
And so now it's so much harder. Yeah. And so these networking events are better. And even if you go and you're like, I don't know if this is going to be that great, even if you go to a networking event, you don't think anything came out of it, you might have met one person who's got like some form of a connection with somebody else. And I see you. Who's got a connection with somebody else. And so that networking event, though may have not been fruitful, is going to lead to a job later.
Well, and just the repeat contact. Like, you see somebody a little bit every year for 3 years, and they're going to remember who you are, and then it's real easy to strike up a conversation.
Yeah, they really bypass that object of permanence.
Follow-up, I would say, is the last bit. That, you know, you don't wait for them to email you. Email them to follow up.
Ask
Be
them
like, hey,
for
it
a
was
card.
great talking to you. And
those are great.
Yeah.
Or even and those are even great beyond the networking if you've had an interview. It's thanking that person for that time and letting them know that it could have been somebody else, but it was you.
Follow them on Twitter.
Yep.
Follow their stuff, buy their things, compliment
Send them
their
flowers.
things, give them reviews, like all those things that are going to implant you into
Don't
their
send
brain.
them flowers.
Maybe like a subtle bouquet.
A subtle bouquet.
Yeah.
So
I would appreciate flowers.
An edible arrangement, perhaps.
You know, I would like that more.
You would. So in closing, Stephen, is there anything else you would like to share with anybody to kind of wrap it into a nice bow?
Well, let's see. I would say that the weirdest networking situation I've ever run into was I'm friends with Dan Dillon and James Hayek,
right.
and you know, I randomly got to have coffee with Matt Mercer one time before I even knew who Matt Mercer was. And like this was like 2 years ago. It was like 2 years ago. I'd never seen Critical Role before, and I was just like, it was after like a weekend of networking with all sorts of cool people, and I was just like, okay, well here's just one more cool person who's got like a show or something, whatever. But it was great because it was just this casual conversation. He was just the nicest guy in the world, and we just talked about gaming and writing for gaming and how to GM different stuff. And I made some weird comment about doing voices in the car. And I had like in the hindsight, I'm just like kicking myself for this thing that I said to Matt Mercer. But you know,
Matt Mercer, voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No idea.
No idea. We've all done it. So yeah, it's taken us this small meetings.
Everyone's just people. And
we're all just people.
We're all just giant dorks, and there's no reason to be nervous.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming by. And thank you guys for tuning in. And as Steven said, we're all just people. Mm-hmm. We're geeks trying to just make it through this world. We love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for stopping by. Nerd Out Season 1 is coming to a close with only 2 episodes left. Next week, I sit down with Eugenio Vargas, but you better know him as yours and my friendly neighborhood dungeon master, DM Jazzy Hands, as we talk Broadway musicals and the importance of representation. Don't forget to give us a follow on Twitter at Variant Roles and myself at Crit Charisma for more updates. And of course, be kind to yourself and each other. I love you all. I'll see you next week.